Okay, so if you remember last time when we talked about Samuel Adams, the social studies from last week, what was on that one? What was important about that social studies worksheet? Nobody wants to be on video, on recording. What was on it? It's okay to be wrong. What did they talk about? Huh? Great Britain, right, and the French War, and it was French and Indian, right? And we kind of had a confusion about why it was French and Indian when they weren't fighting; they were together, right? Okay. The middle part of the page, that's what y'all kind of were tested on with Miss Hamilton. She was going to do the middle part of the page, and in the middle part of the page, it talked about all the Stamp Act and how the colonists rebelled and the war that happened there and how people died because they were mad that they were getting taxed on everything, right? Does that make sense? Y'all remember that? Okay, so now we're going to talk about Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberty is what this section is going to be about. It says that Great Britain passed the Stamp Act in 1765. They were unfair. They wanted representation in Parliament. Govern means controlled. See the vocabulary word right there? So they would meet in secret so that they would start their own government. The Loyal Nine, which is what that group called themselves, they would meet, and then they were called the Sons of Liberty. So they started out as the Loyal Nine, and then, anybody ever watch Big Brother? Anybody? Well, anyway, they do different groups. They form different alliances, and as you form a different alliance, you give it a different name, and then as people drop out of the alliance, you change the name. Happens all the time. But, so they changed their name. Samuel Adams, eventually, he was the leader of the group. This tells you about Samuel Adams. John Adams and Samuel Adams grew up together. I don't think that they were related, or it would have said they were, but they had the same last name. Just because people have the same last name doesn't mean they're necessarily related, right? Ask anybody with the Williams as a last name, or Ruiz, or Martinez, or even Villalobos, right? Everybody, if you have a common last name. So Samuel Adams and the whole Sons of Liberty believed that the British treated the colonists unfairly. He didn't like the tax the Great Britain forced the colonists to pay, he thought that they should be able to choose their own leaders, and then he wanted the colonists to break away from Great Britain and fight for their own independence, right? So, in the summer of 1765, right here, Samuel Adams helped organize a secret group of patriots in Boston. The group named themselves the Sons of Liberty. They were dedicated to fighting against Great Britain's control of the colony. So those Loyal Nine helped Samuel Adams and joined together with him to create the Sons of Liberty. They met secretly and often encouraged the colonists to disobey British laws like the Stamp Act. He didn't want them to follow the laws, like a rebel, right? What you would call a rebel. In the fall of 1773, which is quite a bit later, actually, 8 years, the Sons of Liberty became really upset, especially upset means really upset, about the tax on the colonists' favorite beverage, tea. The issue, in this issue, they're going to learn about the Sons of Liberty and the other patriots did because of the strict control Great Britain tried to place on the American colonies.